Welcome back. In today's episode, we have the conclusion of the interview with Bridgette Mayer. In today's episode, we'll be discussing how to serve the person you're working with currently and how to acknowledge your clients and the secret of gratitude. And finally, why change your business when it's already financially successful?
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. Do you have any specific advice for the women entrepreneurs out there or the woman that's thinking about starting her own business?
Yeah, I think for women it can be challenging. I think some of them are mothers with children and families, and so they're juggling a lot already. And I sometimes think that people feel like it has to be perfect or you have to start it in a perfect way. And I would say just start journaling and writing about what it is that you want to do and why you think you want to do it, and start reading about the thing you might want to do or your industry. And I think people get stuck in either there's too many people doing what I want to do, so I don't know if there's a place for me, which I feel like there's a place for everyone depending on your specialty and your gifts and your talents that you bring. Or they just don't know how to get started, but there's so much content on the internet. So I think I would first start with spending time, even if it's 20 minutes a day, writing about it and thinking about it, and even talking to people about it, and listening to podcasts like your podcast to hear advice from other people that have been there before. And I've shared business ideas with my husband, with my family, and I've gotten encouragement and support. And I sometimes feel that if you share with other people, you might start getting that support and push that you need to actually start working on it.
What have you been afraid to try?
Skydiving.
That's so interesting to say that,
Skydiving.
because that was one of my limiting beliefs or fears for a number of years. I didn't like that sensation of falling. And
Yes.
I just said, I got to book it. And that's what I did.
Yeah, skydiving. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. Are you afraid of the falling sensation or dying?
Yes.
Okay.
The falling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
just
great.
that second where you
Yes.
step off and there's no more ledge that you're standing on and you're just in a free fall.
Yes. I have great news for you. No, I'm serious. You're gonna love it. Well, you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. But it'll force you to end up going skydiving because you won't have any excuse anymore. I was the same way. When you go skydiving, and I use skydiving as a metaphor for a lot of what I do, and I talk about that many people are interested in success and great relationships or whatever they're seeking, but very few are actually determined and committed to follow through with it. And I said, there's a big difference between just deciding to do something and then committing to it. And I said, I decided I wanted to go skydiving, so I made the reservation. I decided that I wanted to go skydiving, so I got on the skydiving plane. But it wasn't until I jumped out of the plane that I was actually committed. So there's a big difference. But the great news is skydiving, there is zero feeling of falling in the entire process. So what happens is you go up in a little plane. This is great. So you go up in the little plane, right? Well, I don't like little planes to begin with because why? Because they kind of bounce around and you get that feeling of weightlessness, right? The thing that we don't like.
Yes.
Well, you have, let's say, 8 tandem people in the plane, and I was the second group out. When the first people left, the tandem, the 2 people, we lost weight in the plane. What happens when you lose weight in a plane?
It jumps up and bounces more, right? Exactly.
As soon as they left, I was so determined to get off that plane. I was looking forward to the sensation of falling through the air. I was like, I'm out of here. That's right. Thor didn't.
Awesome.
But what's interesting is it's like sticking your head out of the window in a car at 100 miles an hour. When you leave the plane, I don't know what it is, but there's zero sensation of falling. There's nothing. No. So it's go do it. You'll enjoy it. It's a fun experience. You may not like when the person ahead of you jumps out and it bounces a little bit, but then again, you'll be motivated to jump out the plane like I was.
That's awesome. I am going to try it. I'll let you know.
Yeah. And someone told me that was a big skydiver because I said the same thing to him. He's like, no, there's no sensation of falling. I was like, how can there not be a sensation of falling? I think it's because the rush of the wind, you're going so fast that you just don't feel it.
That's so cool. And I also what popped into my head, I work with all kinds of people. I work with CEOs, I work with other gallery owners, I work with artists, I work with clients at every level, from multimillionaires to people just starting to collect art. And I also I coach entrepreneurs and artists one-on-one. And a lot of times what I realize, I'll be in a meeting or a situation and there's something that I want to say to someone, but I'm afraid to say it. After being in that situation recently a bunch of times, I realized that I'm not serving the other person and I'm not fully serving myself with that other person by not saying what's on my mind that I'm afraid to say. And so whether that's, my marriage or personal relationship or people that are making a choice with a piece of art that they're going to collect, or a CEO type person who is seeing something maybe in a limited way, and it could be around spending money for their company. I've realized that it's scary, but it helps the other person and me if I can come from a place of especially if I'm an expert in that moment, saying what needs to be said. So that's something I've taken on recently.
Yeah, if you don't want my true opinion, don't ask for it, because it is going to cut. And I generally warn people. I said, "Are you sure you want to know the answer?"
Yeah.
And I'll say it. I'm not the type of guy that you want to take shopping and ask if these jeans make your butt look big, because if they do, I'm going to tell you. And on the reverse side is, people have complimented or thanked me for compliments. And I said, look, I don't give compliments. I give observations. And if I tell you something that I think is spectacular about you, I'm always obviously trying to find things that are spectacular about people, but I really mean it. I was with the event this weekend, and there was this young 24-year-old guy, and this dude was just put together. And after the event, I said, I want to compliment. I'm sorry, I didn't say the compliment because I don't compliment. See, I even call myself. I said, I want to say something. And the way you presented this one little exercise, you did an incredible job. And I want to give you the specifics of why. It's not only what you said, but it was the power in which you said it. Yeah. And I said, when the words came out of your mouth, you were congruent, and it was like a force. You weren't yelling. There was an energy to your voice. And I said, at 24 years old, you have an amazing gift, and you are going to go to amazing levels. And he looked at me and he said, oh, thanks for the compliment. He was kind of moved at how deep I went with it. And again, it's not a compliment. It's an observation that I saw. So
yes, and an acknowledgement. And I do think it's really important to acknowledge people in your daily life, and
give them specifics.
Yeah, and I like how you were specific in how you acknowledged.
Because if you say something, hey, you did a great job. Well, what does that mean? Yep. What's a great job? But this kid just had incredible presence. And
That's
for 24,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important too with building teams with employees and even your family. I think sometimes we don't acknowledge our family for how they show up for us and who they are in their lives. That creates a team and a support for us. So I've been acknowledging my husband more because I realize I want to, and
it's so important. And couples specifically, forget about it all the time. I go out to dinner. If I ever go out to dinner with anybody, You'll see me do it 90% of the time. I'm like, hey, you guys want to play a game? And then everyone who knows me goes, oh, here it comes. And it's a game that I call What I Like About You. And we just go around the room and tell me 2 things that you like about this person. And they'll say they're really kind. I said, well, give me for instance of when they were really kind. And they'll say something, an instance when that person was kind to them. And 9 times out of 10, the other person didn't even realize what impact it had on the other person. I was like, look, if you're in a relationship, don't you want that person doing more of what you love? Don't make them guess.
Yeah.
Customers, don't make them guess. Ask them what they want and then give it to them.
Yep.
So important.
I write a few letters a year to people in my life to let them know what I appreciate and love about them.
That's a beautiful, beautiful thing to do.
Yeah, just thinking about it and hearing you talk about it, I feel myself getting emotional. Like there's so much to love and appreciate about people and in our organizations and in our life. And that's another great way to build self-esteem.
Yes, except one time it did backfire on me. Yeah.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. There was a husband and wife, and the husband was just so loving and caring and said what he said. And then when it was her turn, she's like, I don't really know. Wow. Yeah, they didn't make it as a couple, but it was like, wow. I felt bad that, I was like, ooh, it was really uncomfortable. But most of the time it's a beautiful thing. And people walk away with the gift of doing it more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it. If you woke up every day and told your husband or your wife or your boyfriend, girlfriend, or significant other, this is what I love about you.
Yeah, I know.
You start focusing on that. You start doing more of that.
Yep. I love that idea.
Yeah. And do it with your clients.
Exactly.
When's the last time I have a client that he wanted to connect with his clients more? I said, well, what could you do? He goes, I could call him. I'm like, well, okay. Why don't you call him? I think I'll do that. So he called 5 of them. He checked back with me a couple of days later. I said, so how'd it go? He goes, that was the greatest thing ever. He goes, it was amazing. I was like, I just called these people out of the blue. And he has a large internet company. So he's got 30,000 clients. So these people didn't know him. So he's like, hey, this is so-and-so, the president of so-and-so. And they're like, wow. And I'm like, so you felt great, huh? He goes, I love connecting with them. I'm like, well, why don't you do that every single day?
That's awesome. I'm trying to I think it was what year was it for me? I think it was around 2009. I had a mailing list at that time of about 500 clients, and I wanted to acknowledge all of them. And I didn't feel like I could write that many letters, so I wanted to write a letter that was really authentic and heartfelt, that really spoke to the people that were coming in and they were being patrons of my business and supporting the artist. And I wanted them to know how their love of art, their support, their purchases had a direct impact on the business and on the artist and overall on people's lives. And so I wrote this letter, and my sales shot up over the next 3 months, which that's not why I did it. I didn't do it to say, hey, come back in. It was more just, let me tell you why I'm grateful for you. And the lesson that I learned was that by letting people know how their support and contribution to what you're doing is supporting your life in a positive way, just that circle of that creates more of them wanting to show up and be loving and supportive. And I've found that in my personal relationships too.
Yeah, I think there's a tremendous opportunity going forward in business for the business woman or man that really stays engaged with their customers one-on-one and talks to them. Where everything is, how do I auto-respond this thing to death and I can go live on a beach somewhere and not do any work? That perception and that myth that's being sold to everybody, I think there's a tremendous opportunity on the other side to go, you know what? You're not going to get an autoresponder from me. I'm here. Here's my email. Here's my phone number. I want to talk to you.
Yep. And you just said it. I love calling people. I think business to me should be done over the phone if you can't meet with that person face to face. And
Yeah.
I know that's contributed to my success, and people love that voice or human connection that they're getting. And really, at the end of the day, you don't have a business unless you have people that are your clients or people showing up to support your business. So it's really the relationships that you build. If you strip everything away, it's all about the relationships. It's beyond the product, beyond the service, beyond what you're actually doing. It's the relationships that you have with your customers and clients, and how you're serving them, and then how in turn they end up serving you in your business, and communicating that as often as you can.
Yeah, I think it's so important. Look, you got Zoom, you got Skype. I use an app called Bomb, and what it is, it's a way to take a video and then you email it. It's all in this neat little app. And
is it
great.
BOMB?
Yes.
Is that how you spell it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Ooh, cool. I love that idea.
It's awesome. So what you do is you just sit there and you're like, hey, Bridgette, how you doing? It's Thor here. And you just give a little personalized video, and then you send it out, and then you can put a little like thumbnail on top of it that says, Bridgette, video for you. And they're like, well, wait a second, this is not a mass email. This is for me.
That's so cool.
Oh, it's a great way.
You know, I recorded a birthday message for a friend recently, and it just popped into my head. I'm like, everyone's like sending him these Facebook messages or emails. I'm going to send him I'm going to sing happy birthday and let him know why I appreciate him. And he told me that made his entire birthday. So you just never know how doing something a little bit more personal to connect with someone, how that's going to make their day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Yeah.
All right. I ask every person at an interview these questions. At the end of the day, what are we looking for? We want to be happy. We want to be successful. We want to be wealthy. We want to be healthy. What's the secrets to these?
I feel that the secret to all of it is being authentic to yourself. And we are living in a world, things are moving so quickly. There's so many things being sold in different spaces, and people coming at us, and things we're seeing in advertising and media. And so, and things that entrepreneurs were trying to do and not do. And so for me, it comes down to authenticity and really listening inside for what's happening in your life at the deepest level, and then moving from that place. And it's really tough to do that. And so that to me is how to create more success, more wealth, more love, more fulfillment, is really being authentic. And I think people are being pulled in directions that are not congruent with what they want to be doing, or they're working in jobs that don't feel good to them. And so I feel like you owe it to yourself and people around you to live, or try to live, from a place of authenticity. And I've really been doing that and shifting even more. I mean, I made some business changes in the last 2 years that were not easy for me to make, but were also in the deepest level of me, I knew they were the right moves for me to make. And I made a bunch of shifts, and it was a moment where I'm like, gosh, I'm doing well financially. Why am I moving this way? And I already knew the answer, because this was what was authentic to me. This is what would challenge me at the next level. And now I'm much happier. And I think moving through your work and your entrepreneurship and your evolutions requires you to stay in tune with what's authentic to you, and keep moving through that.
Yeah, if you're not authentic, it's a non-starter. You've got to start there.
It is, but it's tough to do that, because I think when people get great at what they do and they get paid well, that's a moment where it's really, and when they're doing it, and I was just talking to someone about this, when I feel like I can do something with my eyes closed and it's not a challenge for me, that's when I need to re-challenge myself and look at the bigger picture and step into something that's even more authentic. And so I think it's even harder to do that when you are doing well and you are set professionally, like how to keep growing through what you love to do.
Yeah, you got to keep pushing yourself. You got to go skydiving.
I have to go skydiving. Yes.
Make it a must.
I'll send you a bomb message on my way down.
Nice. Well, I know so many people are going to be inspired by your story here. Tell us how we can get a hold of you and what you're doing.
So you can find my book, The Art Cure by Bridgette Mayer, on Amazon.com. For people that are interested around coaching and stuff like that and my workshops, they can find me on BridgetteMayer.com. And then for the art stuff, I have two websites, BridgetteMayerGallery.com and BridgetteMayerArtAdvisors.com. So all those places show what I'm up to in each area.
Great. Thank you for all your advice tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great job.
So much fun.
Well, hopefully you'll come back and share with us what the next step is. And I'm sure by then you'll have a $50 million painting sold.
I hope so. I'm working on it. Thank you so much.
You'll get it done.
Yeah.
Are you truly living your potential? Are you getting the results that you need, want, and desire? There was a time in my life where I was not, and I needed answers. For the last 16 years, I've been obsessed with the question of why some people achieve massive results and others do not. And I found out that it comes down to one thing: execution, and the ability to take your ideas and plans and dreams and turn them into reality. That led me to the question, what are peak performers doing that others are not doing? How do they think? How do they act? What is behind the science of execution? I have now uncovered the secrets to the science of execution, and I want to share them with you. I have an intensive 3-day event called the Business Execution Summit. If you are truly committed to taking your game to the next level and mastering the science of execution, the most important skill that you will ever acquire, simply take your phone and text the word BE Summit, one word, to 41411, and I'll send you out some additional information on our upcoming event. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.